Welcome to No Movies in Hell. I'm Chris Geiger.
I'm Waqas Scott, and today we are reviewing The Sandman. Netflix streaming is 11 episodes now of the series that is adapted from a Neil Gaiman comic book. That was actually it's DC, which I didn't know. I didn't know it was a comic book, and then I was informed, and I was like, "Oh, this makes sense because everything is very fantastical." I loved a lot of the cinematography and like just the special effects and the little beings, and I guess towards the latter part there were just the different stories, so it's kind of like an anthology of like all the impact of what happens on in episode one with Dream. I thought it was really well, it was really well done.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't have any exposure to the story before watching it, but I did like American Gods.
Okay,
I only saw season one. Is season two out now?
I'm not sure. I never watched it.
Season one came out and there was like a long, like they kept saying season season two's coming, but it was such a long time that if it came out, I don't even know. But I like Ian McShane. I liked everything about, like, not that this is the American Gods review, but I liked everything about that season and that series except the main character. But all the side characters seemed so interesting and they were so great. Ian McShane, Gillian Anderson is in it. Good cast. But yeah, I didn't really, the main character was just very flat, which I think happens a lot. I think that's true with the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I like all the characters
Yeah.
except her.
Yeah, of the couple of episodes I've seen of that, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Um,
I watched the whole first season and then I stopped because I
I didn't watch the first season. I just whatever Nate was watching, so he's like season 4, and I was like, okay. Of Neil Gaiman's, I guess, portfolio, I have watched Good Omens on, and I liked it a lot. So yeah, I didn't have any expectation going into this, but of course, Netflix throws money behind very fantastical things. So going into this, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, but instantly like watched a couple, 3 or 4 episodes is sitting and trying to not binge everything at once, but like have a palpable amount so I can recall things and it's all mushed together. I thought that it was great.
I don't recognize anyone in it.
Okay.
You?
There's like 1 or 2 people I recognize, one being, or 3, one being the woman who plays Death. She was in The Good Place. So I was like, oh, that's the one from Good Place. Lucifer is Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones.
Oh, you know what? I thought she looked familiar, but I couldn't remember from where.
Yeah, she has a completely different like hairstyle.
Yeah. Oh, what? I do remember and I don't know from where either, but the guy who plays Cain, or no,
Yeah,
the brother who keeps getting killed.
Yes, yeah, that guy. Oh yeah, those 2 I think are like comedians. And then the guy who ends up with the ruby, like the guy who's like the heir, but then ends up with the ruby.
I did recognize him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then John Cameron Mitchell, who is Hedwig, the original Hedwig on Broadway. He plays the innkeeper, the guy who owns the house that the girl and her friend go to so that she can find her brother towards the end. And so he keeps on having his dream is he's like in drag and he's doing a drag show and then it's himself. So yeah.
He was also in Mozart in the Jungle.
Mm.
And he was in Shrill. He played
Yes, he was
her boss. Okay.
Yeah, her boss in Shrill.
Maybe I do recognize a lot more people than I realize.
Yeah, it takes a while. It's like, wow, this person looks familiar. Oh, that's where I know them from. Or like the woman who plays Lucienne looks familiar, but like when I looked her up, I haven't seen any of the things that she's in. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
I sort of thought though that they would get more like that the main character, the death would be someone that
A more prominent
you
character.
knew, right? Only because American Gods had such a huge cast. Uh,
Yeah, I guess maybe the deal was like getting some people who were, I wouldn't say like mildly famous. Like who knows who the Dream is? Like I've never seen that guy before.
mm-mm.
Um, but putting a lot of budget into the production, like a lot of special effects, a lot of like world building, like putting hell together looked crazy. Like, yeah, a lot of the special effects looked a little over the top. Even like the episode where Dream bets with a guy about like come back 100 years and we'll like meet at this place. And it was just like having to go through that. Like it was great. I was like, oh my gosh, like every year until the one year he couldn't come, or the like 100 years he couldn't come in the 80s. And like the guy was just kind of like, all right, where is he? Or was it the 90s? Yeah, I was just like, wow, they put so much into this.
That's right. The girl who tried to kill them at the bar the one time, like tried to
Mm-hmm.
intercept them. She
Yep.
looked familiar.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I just so
Yeah,
many familiar faces.
that's good at its slides. All right, so better than average.
Yeah, I would have to say it's way better than the other the more recent ones that I reviewed. Um, I really liked kind of like, the cinematography. The hair and makeup I thought was really good. I at first thought that Dream looked like a hot mess, but then I was shown, what the comic book looks like, and I was like, oh, this is way tamer than what the comic book like has. He has like the emo hair and stuff because the comic book came out in the 80s. In the early 80s. So I'm like, okay, now all this kind of like makes sense. And just like the fantastical beings, like even the woman who was disguised as like someone who was helping the little boy, and she was like kind of like a not translucent, but she had like different blues and green colors going throughout her, and Dream gave her wings. I was like, that is so cool. um yeah, I loved it. And of course, there was jewelry. So there was the ruby, and that was centered a huge part of, you know, a plot. I mean, there were so many in this series. So I just thought it was great.
Yeah, I agree. There was jewelry, but the jewelry itself wasn't that fantastical. Like you've given like us these worlds and this woman who's like translucent and changes colors and
Hmm.
all of these things. And the ruby is just this emerald cut, like just like this rectangular
Basic.
block in a gold basic gold basket setting on a chain. Like I wanted that to be more. I did like the protection
Hmm.
necklace. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, but I thought based on all the other stuff, you could have done a lot more with the jewelry than you did or than they did. So I just gave it a two. But um,
Okay, this totally reminds me. The woman who picked up the guy that had the ruby and the protection, like, and she went to the truck stop and she was like trying to get help.
mm.
That woman is from Ted Lasso. She plays a psychologist. So
Okay.
yeah, it's just like these random people, like, oh, that person looks familiar. Oh, that person, just to further along the cameos within the series.
All right, that's awesome. I haven't watched Ted Lasso. It's on Apple. I don't subscribe to Apple TV
Okay.
yet.
There's some good stuff on there.
I'm sure I will eventually, but
I
yeah.
think you'd like Ted Lasso. It's really good. It's very positive and heartwarming. And then there's Severance, which is really good that I think you'll like a lot.
I've heard
Um,
that's good.
it's really good. uh, and then I would have to say that's about it. I like the fact that Apple doesn't charge you if you don't use it. So I try to like get everything in there while I can.
Oh, I didn't realize they didn't charge you if you don't use it. I don't, in fact, I haven't really even looked into it. Like, I just have an
There's
aversion.
a lot of streaming options.
Yeah, I just have an aversion to adding more things. Like, I just added Disney Plus this past year, and it's like, okay, I'm good. Like, that's enough new stuff for now. Do you have anything to plug in this episode?
Well, our countdown to the best of summer 22 is on the horizon. We got some really cool things coming up, special guests. Um, yeah, excited. What about you?
I can't think of anything other than those things. So, no for now. But yes, looking forward to fall movie lineup, 100th episode coming up soon. And yeah, best of summer. And then kind of look whatever we're looking forward to this fall and winter. I'm already seeing a lot of promos for things next year.
Wow.
There's a new Christopher Nolan coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Mission Impossible coming out next year. Yeah. So the year is over halfway over,
Oh,
2022.
oh my gosh, it just started.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.